Kinsky's. Is that a deli on Fifth?
It's a place for selling pictures.
A picture house?
An auction house, as a matter of fact, a gallery.
It's way up past the Plaza Hotel.
What makes you think he knows where the plaza is?
Where is that located?
Well, Kinsky's.
No, what you said. Plaza Hotel.
It's going to be quicker to walk.
$65,000. $70,000. $75,000 with me in the book. $80,000. $85,000.
Middle aisle right.
$90,000. Thank you, madam. $100,000. $110,000.
Come on, Ben.
Killer roller skater!
Gloria, great to see you.
$45,000.
We're terribly sorry. It's traffic.
I know, you don't have that in Britain, do you? No, not traffic.
You know Ben Glazier?
Of course I know Ben.
Aye.
You came over with the Tintorettos, didn't you? 1989. Chuck is sure going to be glad you got here. We are in dire need of you, Ben. Absolutely dire need.
Lot 12. The Parmigianino. I can start the bidding at $420,000. Anyone at $420,000. Thank you, madam.
Gentleman standing rear right.
$430,000. $440,000. $450,000.
$460,000. Plucky attribution.
$480,000. $490,000. To Mr. Smith on the telephone. $500,000.
I want to tell you.
A gentleman standing middle right.
$500,000 still stands. $500,000.
Is he all right?
I think so. It's kind of hot in here. Get him outside, he'll probably be fine.
$530,000 at the back.
Don? For God's sake. I guess he's not in a state to converse. Where are you taking him? Lenox Hill. Now mind yourself. This guy's in a hurry.
Benjamin Glazier.
Charles B. Whiteside.
Maggie, good to see you.
Hello.
Please come in.
Exciting sale, Chuck.
I watched some brilliant hustler auctioning hogs for the county fair.
That's the way they like it.
Very exciting. Some poor old buff on the back near fainted dead away.
So Gloria told me. I really didn't notice.
Odd thing, I'm sure I've seen him before.
Oh, I expect you met a good many old buffers in your time, Ben. All the same, you're looking well. Keep yourself in shape, do you? Jog, of course.
Certainly not. I'd put jogging high in the list of fatal diseases.
Still the same old Ben, isn't he, Maggie? Never changes.
Afraid not.
Not since the days of our youth. Remember, Ben? Bright young things we were. Learning our trade. Visiting Italy to pay homage to Berenson. Great summer. Then we went our separate ways and got older.
Older, not much wiser, perhaps.
Great days. But let me tell you two, this is a terrific moment of time in the history of art.
That you found an unknown Leonardo tucked away in some loft in Greenwich Village.
Not exactly. You know what New York is. They have to have some religion. Once it was just God, I guess, and all the old money did charitable works. Then it was opera. They paid out millions to wear their diamonds at the Met. Then it was civil rights. And now, thank heaven for it, it's art. If you're not on the board of the Museum of Modern Art of the Limburg, you're a social pariah. And how do you get on the board of the Limburg, I hear you asking?
As a matter of fact, you don't.
I heard Mrs. John T. Fleckner III ask it from the depths of Cleveland, which isn't exactly the address from which to start a brilliant career in the art world. Now, the answer is that John T. Fleckner, who's done bloody well. Isn't that what you English say, bloody well?
I really don't know. I'm not English.
He's going to bid aggressively for our Titian, and then he'll present it to the Limburg. Mrs. John T. will get her seat on the board, and they'll be received into the eternal kingdom of art and be sitting on the right hand of the curator of the Getty Museum.
Well, I've got some clients in London to bid for. John T. Wattsuit's not going to get an easy ride.
All the better. The price will mount astronomically. But it all depends on one thing.
On what?
On you.
I'm not in the market for a Titian.
John T. Flecknoe has got it into his head that you're the greatest living expert on old master paintings. He's only going to buy our Titian if you tell him it's authentic.
Ah, a man of great sense and discrimination.
Oh, hi, Gloria. How's the old guy?
The ambulance came. Took him to Lenox Hill. Emergency. That was all we could do.
Sure.
Any idea who he is?
Well, we checked his paddle number at the front desk. He gave the name Don Donald. Sounded a bit curious to me.
Was there any Don in our group of hopeful young art experts?
God, it was so long ago. I mean, you and I were particularly close, Ben. I can't really recall too much about the others.
Don't remember a Don?
Not at all.
I got a feeling Estmore? Estragon? No. That nervous little American, wasn't he Donald something?
You can tell them all. Don was dying when they took him out of the sales room. He was dead when they got him to Lenox Hill.
Thank you for informing us, sir. I will let Mr. Whiteside know. I told you, he's in a meeting right now.
You work here, work at Klinsky's.
Klinsky is not here, though.
Okay, you tell them then. Let them know the good news. Klinsky's got what it wanted.
Just a minute. I don't understand.
Shut up. Just shut up! Don Estover won't give you any trouble anymore.
Don Estover?
Blue Point oysters, champagne. You certainly live it up in Kinsky's New York.
Only when we have beautiful visitors from England.
I'm sorry Ben's missing the oysters.
Dear old Ben. I've loved him since we went on our pilgrimage to the world's greatest ever art expert, Bernard Berenson, B.B. Art has been a poor place since he died.
Ben says that Berenson was sometimes persuaded to take account of market forces.
Ben's not going to be in any trouble, is he?
Well, he might be quite jealous when he finds out we were eating Blue Point oysters together.
Jealous? You two haven't got anything going, have you?
Oh, yes.
What?
Well, we're great friends.
Well, friends. Is that all?
It's quite a bit.
Well, yes, of course. Friends. Well, that's all it is. I mean, Ben's a much, much older man.
He's not much older than you, in fact.
Oh, that's entirely different.
Is it?
Well, you can see, can't you? I work out, I watch what I eat. I've been doing this new relaxation technique. Kind of empty your mind, you know. Think young. Rediscover yourself. I go out with 25-year-old dates.
Do you really? I'd have thought you'd have more fun staying in with them.
Ben isn't going to have any trouble attributing the Titian, is he?
Not if it's right.
We just can't afford any of his precious doubts. Not school love, not circle love, not after Titian. Not any of that damn double talk. Spy Titian, straight down the line. That's all he needs to say.
An old man when he painted like that, a very old man. Vasari called him when he was over 80 and found him still working hard with the brushes in his hand. We keep on going, you know, we old war horses.
Don't show off, Ben. You're really not that old.
The older Titian was liberated. He gave up the classical idea. He painted like an impressionist. Splashes and dots of color against the thunderous sky, great figures looming out of the night. Paint hurried on with a smudged finger. Old age for Titian was a time for magic, and he still found women attractive.
What you're saying is, it's a late Titian. Well, that's okay. As long as it's a Titian, we don't care how late.
It's hard to say until one sees the paint.
Hey, you see the service you get at Klinsky's, New York? There you are. Let me introduce you to your Titian.
You know what the Romans thought about nymphs? If you were unfortunate enough to see them naked, it led to delirium. I think I can understand that.
It's perfectly right, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I think I may have to spend some time of my own with her.
It's fair enough. I'll try to entertain Maggie.
Do you want any help?
Not yet. Not till I'm sure what I think. Now I'll ask you what you think.
What are you looking for?
All sorts of things. A smudged finger, perhaps.
Will he be long?
Oh, hours, probably. By the time he's gone over it with a magnifying glass doing his Sherlock Holmes bit.
I'm not busy this afternoon. Are you busy?
Not really.
I tell you, in this city, you go crazy if you don't keep in shape. Take exercise.
I suppose so.
Shall we go play a little? Gloria? The athletic club, if anyone needs us. I'll see you downstairs, 3 minutes.
Right.
Hey, Maggie Perone.
We met in London. Wal Wenzel, modern American.
Oh,
Hi.
hi.
You gonna visit us? Look, anytime you get really bored with old masters, you wander upstairs where something significant's going on. And here, let me whisper. We're making a heap of dollars.
Oh, well done.
You know the only place I think old masters go well? Dish cloths, souvenir mugs, beer mats. Anywhere that can give rise to a little humor. You busy right now? Come up to the world of today.
Well, I am rather busy.
I see. Well, you sure picked a real old master.
Estiver. No, not too many Estivers. Estiver D. Jackson Heights. I suppose that's possible. Oh, hello. I'm sorry to disturb you. I just wondered if Mr. Don Estiver lived there.
Donald, I don't know no Don. Donald's out at work.
I'm an old friend of his, actually. I just wondered if Mr. Estiver had... Well, he hasn't died, has he, in any way?
Funeral business, is it? Hustling Wyke? We don't want you. You hear me? We don't need you. We are in beautiful health here.
Oops. Estiver G. McCarthy Square, Greenwich Village. Could I speak to Mr. Donald Estiver, please?
Don won't be back. Never. Never. Never come back.
Seemed a very odd way to spend the afternoon.
We were keeping healthy.
In here, breathing in the delightful smell of aging gym shoes.
He means trainers.
I know. I've made a close study of the English language. Okay, Ben. So, is it a great Titian? A 100% genuine, straight-up masterpiece of the final period, like you said?
You're talking about the picture?
Of course I am.
I haven't had time to think about that. I've been busy.
Busy?
I remember a rather shy young American asking an awkward question. Something like, Mr. Berrison, when you make an attribution, who are you trying to please? The dead artist or the living dealer?
I can't remember. I know you and I were there, of course, and Ed Backman, he was there, but none of the others.
That was the night I think we all went to the local trattoria and got shamefully drunk in Italian brandies. I remember Don staggered out and vomited in the olive grove.
Don?
Don Estiver. He was in our group. I saw him yesterday.
Can't say I recall.
He was the old buffer who took ill in the sale room. Seems he died on the way to Lenox Hill Hospital.
That's terrible.
Sure, I'm sorry.
Well, we're all in the departure lounge.
This is all very interesting, Van. I guess it's brought back days of our youth. But has it got anything to do with the attribution of a Titian?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. But I'm trying to find out.
Where are we going?
This way.
The things people do, it's such a pleasure.
Oh, I know. knocked small rubber balls against a wall in company of men wearing smelly gym shoes.
They weren't noticeably smelly.
Elderly men sweating away the years with unnecessary exercise.
Chuck looks good on it.
Good? Do you think he looks good, shining with purity, said Chuck of the art world?
He desperately wants the Titian to be right.
To make that perfectly clear.
Is it?
I told him I wanted to find out more.
You said you wanted to find out about this man with the funny name.
Don Esteva. I met his friend, his boyfriend, I suppose. I think that's what it was. Anyway, he said the Kinskys had got what they wanted because Don was quiet for good now.
What did that mean?
I don't know. Have you any ideas? Here we are.
Oh,
thanks. Found them. Apartment 7. He's in there, but he isn't coming out.
So what do we do?
We leave him a kind note. You've come to join us. That's good.
You said you were a friend of Don's?
For years, many, many years. We went to Italy together. We went to see Berenson.
I've got an idea Don mentioned your name. You said you were okay?
Oh, that was good of him.
He said you didn't work at Klinsky's New York?
No, London. We're from London. May I
Is
introduce...
your girlfriend?
No. My boss, as a matter of fact. Maggie Perrone, head of Old Masters. What are you drinking?
Just a Coke.
White wine, Maggie? Cola and a beer for me, thank you.
Your girlfriend looks a lot younger than you.
In certain lights, I'd have to admit it.
We're friends and we work together, that's all.
I was a lot younger than Don. Maybe over 30 years younger. People used to laugh about it. Friends of mine used to laugh. But he was like a kid in some ways. Like having a big kid around the house. Money? He didn't know the first thing about money. He'd write an article for some obscure magazine, erotic influences on Mannerist paintings of the 16th century, stuff like that. And as soon as he got paid, which was peanuts, he'd rush out and buy me presents. Paints, canvases, music. He just lived for art. No wonder Klinsky's hated him. I have to tell you guys, Klinsky's is strictly for cash. Klinsky's hates art.
You're a painter.
I make images, sure. Images for our time.
Do you manage to sell many of these images?
If you're worth anything, you don't sell. Look, got him on my shirt. Vincent van Gogh, one of the greatest. And he never sold a single picture.
I think that's one of the tragedies in the history of art.
Oh, sure. I bet your heart bleeds for it.
Because most of the great painters made quite a good living. Raphael, Titian, Leonardo, Rembrandt.
Maggie, Mr. Pollack is here because I think he has something to tell us.
Peter. I guess you can call me Peter.
It's just that I don't think Klinsky's is all that bad.
Then you don't know what Klinsky's in New York City is doing. Has done. I never should have let him go. After he left the apartment, I decided to go after him, to stop him doing anything stupid. I went down to your glitzy art shop on the bike. When I got there, Klinsky's had done it.
Done what exactly?
Murdered him.
most ridiculous suggestion I've ever heard.
Titian and his pupils. Titian and the Titiani. You must have read about them.
Well, what's Kinsky's meant to have done? Launched poisoned darts at him through a blowpipe from the restroom. Your friend, the producer of unsaleable works, must have read far too much Agatha Christie.
Come and look at the painting of the hair over the neck, Maggie, and tell me what you think honestly.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Morning, Chuck.
My God, you're looking beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Ben, I've got a great invitation.
Oh, please don't ask me to play squash.
John T. Flecknoe is hosting a dinner for us in his great apartment in Sutton Place. We can drink champagne and look out over the East River. And for God's sake, Ben, let's hope you made up your mind about the Titian by dinner time.
Don't rush us.
Okay? That's okay. Save the good news for the Flecknoe dinner. Oh, his wife's just longing to meet you.
No, I find that extremely alarming.
Why?
Some eager trout anxious to get on in the art world. Please God, I don't have to sit next to her.
I'm the fourth wife of John T. Flecknoe, the third. We go in for numbers in our family. Over the years, John's become more interested in youth. Do you find that yourself, Mr. Glazier?
Perhaps so, in a way.
Oh, I do hope you like, well, younger women. Because then we can become really good friends. I'm going to have to keep coming to you for advice when I'm on the board of the Lemberg collection.
Sadly, I'll be back in London.
Oh, I'll hop over. I just adore London. It's so quaint. The next day, I just fly right back to New York and impress them all with my marvelous knowledge of art. You had a chance to look at the picture?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Flecknoe.
Oh, please. No, I'm Barbara.
Barbara, yes.
Tell me.
Well, I think it's very well painted.
Go on. I love your accent.
I'm sure it's the right period, say 1570 to 1576.
Go on. Oh, I just love it. It's genuine, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, your Scottish accent. That's genuine.
Oh, it's mine, certainly.
Tonight, I feel kind of at home because our guest of honor is a man from my own country. Our families come from those same misty Highlands. We once wore the sporran and hunted the deer. Since my grandfather's time, we Mac Flecknoes have given our loyal services to the retail food industry of America and to my great cause, the people versus narcotics. However, as I'm sure is the case with our guest, my heart's in the Highlands.
Glasgow, in fact.
Now, I've done business with all sorts and conditions of men. But I have to tell you, folks, there's no one you can trust as you can trust a Scot. As Robbie Burns put it, princes and lords are but the names of kings.
Breath of kings.
An honest man's the noblest work of God. Now, when I wanted an art expert of complete honesty to pass judgment on a certain picture,
The Titian.
I rang another great name in retail food outlets. My old friend and aristocrat, the noble Lord Holloway, chairman of Kinsky's London. And I asked him the name of any brilliant art expert who happened to be an honest Scot. So, if our guest of honor gives his opinion that a certain picture is not up to standard, then, as my grandfather used to say, the jig's up. But if he gives it his seal of approval, then I don't care what price I pay. My lovely wife, Barbara, will carry the Titian into her first meeting of the Lemberg board and hand it over with a skirl of bagpipes. So, folks, will you take a cup of kindness to our guest of honor, Ben Glazier?
Ben Glazier.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Glittering, glamorous.
The view over the river.
As a matter of fact, I met you.
You're looking particularly elegant yourself.
It's the Savile Row tailoring. Can't beat it. What's Ben up to exactly?
Taking his time?
No, not that. Talking about the old guy that passed out in the sale room. Someone I swear I can't remember.
He's been listening to some absurd story about Kinsky's.
What story?
It's so ridiculous. It's not even worth talking about. Maybe we ought to go back to the party.
Stay a minute.
Why?
When the party's over, I'll show you the view from my apartment.
Not possible.
Might be fun.
Might be.
What's the matter? Have you got a serious boyfriend back in England?
I suppose I've got a boyfriend. No one could possibly call Nick serious.
You don't fancy me?
It's not that either. You're very acceptable, Chuck. You wear nice clothes, you've got a great tan, your hair's survived.
What's but about it?
But you're the same age as Ben.
He's a year older. At least. Anyway, what's that got to do with it?
Well, Nick...
You're not serious, boyfriend?
Yes, Nick. He's younger than me, in fact. He's young and rather disgustingly attractive.
Sounds charming.
Oh, he is. But Ben minds enough about him. If it was you, almost his age, well, I don't know how Ben would take it.
That's distinctly unfair.
Terribly. We better get back. They'll think we jumped into the river.
If only.
I just wondered, Mr. Flecknoe.
Johnny, yes?
He must be a few years older than you.
Only about 30.
30? How interesting. Oh, I must tell...
Oh, Chuck! You said our guest of honor might give us his decision tonight.
Oh, sure. Ben, you must have made up your mind by now on the Titian.
I'd like to discuss it with Maggie.
It's Miss Perrault.
But she's not a Scot, is she? Let's hear the truth from you.
The truth. You want to know the truth. Well, the truth is that it's a very well executed picture. But it lacks the freedom of old age, the courage of the older man. The painting of the hair falling on the collar is hesitant, over-careful. It lacks Titian's perfect confidence. It's the work of a talented pupil, perhaps Paris Bordoni, who trained in Titian's studio and learned erotic painting in the court of the French king. Is it a Titian? No. I'd say it was a perfectly respectable contemporary repetition.
For God's sake, Ben, don't make jokes.
Nice music.
Don thought so. You come from Kinsky's?
No, I came straight from the hotel. I haven't been into the office this morning. I'm afraid I'm not their favorite art expert anymore.
You're not?
Well, no, I gave a judgment on an alleged Titian, and I don't think it's exactly what they wanted to hear. An abstract painter.
Anything wrong with that?
No, nothing at all. Just that I find life more interesting than strips of color. Well, dangerous, perhaps.
Dangerous for Don. Maybe for you now.
What did Don do to upset Kinsky's exactly? You never told us that.
He was angry at the way they were attributing paintings.
Yes, I rather thought that.
He said they were making false claims. Anyway, claims he didn't believe in.
Oh dear, that's asking for trouble.
He was going to speak out at the sale. He was going to tell everyone that wasn't a Parmigianino. Old Don, who is so quiet, so gentle, he was really angry. He was going to make a great scene in public.
It was very brave of him.
And stupid.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Do you mind very much
Mind?
If I use your bathroom?
Oh, sure.
You said you thought someone at Kinsky's had killed Don. How?
I don't know. I don't know what they did when he got there. I don't know that. I only know...
What?
Someone from Kinsky's came to see Don a week before the sale. Came to warn him off, I guess. But Don didn't take no notice. I wish to God he had.
Who came to see him? Did you meet this visitor?
No. No, Don didn't say who he was. He didn't talk much about him, as a matter of fact. Except...
Except what?
The caller left something behind. This. Rolls' own, I guess.
Roll-ups? Oh, no, that's not his style at all. This is really rather upper-class Anglophile. Pipe tobacco.
He's not in the office. He's not in the hotel. For God's sake, where is he?
I don't know. He'd gone out before I left.
Has he gone crazy?
I don't really think so.
I mean, what did he mean by telling the Flecknose that nonsense?
I suppose he thought he was right.
Thought he was right? Well, he is not right. Let me tell you, he is utterly and entirely wrong. That Titian was approved by Berenson. Isn't that enough for you?
Is it enough for the Flecknose?
Well, it would have been if he hadn't got that crazy idea about Scottish experts. Ben hadn't said. You think he did it out of spite?
What do you mean?
Well, because you and I got kind of friendly. I mean, you said he wouldn't have liked it if we...
But we haven't.
Well, hell no! I don't even have that consolation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck. Our visit to New York hasn't been a wild success for you.
You say that again.
My clients in England are going to be rather disappointed, too. They sent me over to bid for a Titian.
What are you going to tell them?
The truth?
They're not Ben Glazier's crazy ideas. They're not the truth. I've told you. You keep quiet about what Ben said. You don't work for him. You work for Kinsky's. That's what it'll pay you to remember.
What does that mean, exactly? Ben, where did you get to?
Oh, I got up early, had breakfast in the deli, then I paid a call on someone. Rather an interesting call, actually.
So, you sobered up?
Considerably.
Look, Ben, my old friend. Will you call and tell the Flecknose?
Tell them what, Chuck? The whole truth? I don't think you'd want me to do that, would you?
I don't know what the hell you mean.
You said that the name of Donald Estiver meant absolutely nothing to you, but it did mean something, didn't it?
And what?
An old expert who objected to your over-optimistic attributions, who objected so much that he was going to stand up and denounce him in public. So you went round to see him to advise him against it.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Who said I went around to see this Don, whatever his name was?
This says it. I don't think Don Estiver, his boyfriend, smokes English tobacco out of an English pouch. It's yours, isn't it, Chuck? And you left it in Estiver's apartment.
Yes. Yes, of course. They're here. I'll tell them to come at once. Thank you, sir. He sent his car for you. You better go down to the entrance hall and wait.
Who's he?
Emmanuel Kinsky.
Honestly, I'd forgotten he was still alive.
I think we need just the invisible presence in our Lord Holloway's boss.
What on earth does he want us for?
I have an uncomfortable feeling the day of judgment is at hand.
My great-great-grandfather always said, to tell a man his Rembrandt is doubtful
It's like telling him his wife is unfaithful. It is a crime to deprive people of their dreams.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
You know, he came from Vienna, that old Emanuel Kinsky, to London. On the way, he bought as many pictures as his pocket could afford. Pictures he thought would give pleasure to the dukes and lords. So much more pleasure if he gave them the names they wanted to hear. Rembrandt, Raphael, Velasquez. That first Emanuel Kinsky was never one to deny pleasure to the customer.
Even if it meant telling lies.
Lies, Mr. Glazier? Such an ugly word. An unnecessary word when we are discussing the happy subject of art.
I imagine all this is to persuade me to tell Mr. John T. Flecknoe he can bid for a genuine Titian.
How perceptive you are. I'm proud that we still employ people of such intelligence at Kinsky's. And you too, Miss Perron. Remarkably intelligent, I understand, for one so young and beautiful. What is your view of the picture Mr. Flecknoe wishes to buy from us?
Ben's the expert, and he thinks it was done by a former pupil.
Perhaps by a pupil, on a very good day. Or by Titian, when he was, let us say, not quite at his best.
Berenson wasn't Scotch. Berenson was a Lithuanian Jew brought up in Boston. He's the greatest art expert the world has ever known. But Johnny would rather listen to Glazier.
Well, he seems to think he's found an honest man.
Maybe he'll be disillusioned.
Is that possible?
Perhaps he could discover another side to Ben Glazier's character. Maybe a defect of the kind your husband finds particularly objectionable.
Money and art. I sometimes wonder if they get anything at all to do with each other. Berenson made that mistake. In the end, he was attributing pictures purely for business reasons.
Very sensible of him.
We were brought up to worship Berenson. We all went to pay court to him. Young men were the hero. But two of us grew up to find his way of working suspect. The other one was called Donald Estever. Now he's dead. Killed by Kinsky's.
You know that's ridiculous, Ben.
I don't mean with blowpipes and poison darts, of course not. But he had a heart condition. Fibrillation. Uneven heartbeats. He was taking digoxin for it. Any sudden excitement would have killed him, but the excitement that did it was having to stand up in a sale room and denounce the false claims made for a picture.
He didn't have to do that, Mr. Glazier.
He felt he had to. He felt he had to tell the truth. Kinsky's had forced it on him.
He was taking unnecessary risks. I hope you're not tempted to do that.
I'm afraid it's a temptation I can't resist. You see, I feel I owe it to Don Estever as well as to Titian.
And you, Miss Perron?
I've got too used to working with Ben. He's probably right.
Then there's nothing more I can say.
I'm afraid not.
You'll be going back to England soon.
There doesn't seem much to keep us here.
Or perhaps not much to keep you in London. Who knows? Perhaps in the end you will agree with me. The customer comes first. Good day to you. Oh, Miss Perron. Just one moment. Don't let me detain you, Mr. Glazier.
Car's gone?
Oh, yes. I think our days are numbered. What did the old boy want?
Me, for dinner. Alone in his apartment, he wanted to get to know me. He said he didn't only give his customers pleasure.
Of course you're going.
I think not. Like being groped by dead leaves.
You said I was right. Do you believe that?
I suppose I believe in you, Ben. It's become something of a habit. I'll see you later. I'm meeting someone.
So am I.
See you around the Labour Exchange.
I know quite well that Chuck's been, well, after you, hasn't he? Let's go play a little. I heard him say that. Please, level with me, Maggie. Did Chuck achieve significant otherness with you?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Did he screw you, is what I mean.
Of course not. Absolutely nothing happened.
Not for want of asking. Bastard. Well, no, he is. He is. He is all I have learned to hate since I went to college, since I became aware of my responsibility to the environment.
You find Chuck environmentally unfriendly?
He's ghastly. That tobacco pipe, he spreads death, throws it around like confetti at a wedding. Also, he eats the corpses of dead animals. He poisons his system with alcohol. He listens to Frank Sinatra tapes. And he's infringed on my human rights by telling me I have great tits and should make more of them.
It's a pretty grisly indictment.
And how come I love the bastard?
Does seem terribly unfair.
It means a lot to him about this Titian.
If it's a Titian.
Oh, he's sure it is. You see, it was bought by someone who knew years ago. This guy named Ed Bachman picked it up in Italy when they were both young and went to visit Berenson.
Berenson seems to get in everywhere.
Chuck says he gave the picture the okay, and Bachman, who was some sort of rich nut, bought it. Well now, Bachman died in South America and left it to his old friend Chuck.
You mean Chuck's selling his own picture?
Well, not officially, of course. Officially, it's been entered by a nominee, anonymous donor and all that. I want you to persuade Ben to change his mind. I guess Chuck could make it worth his while.
I'm sure he could. And I'm sure Ben won't.
I'm sorry.
Oh, please, don't apologize. It's always best to know the truth.
Emanuel Kinsky doesn't think so.
The old man, is he still alive?
And kicking.
You've met him. He hardly sees anyone now. You must be very honored.
Or dishonored, perhaps.
Well, to be honest, Chuck, I thought that disgusting pipe of yours was your only vice.
Well, life is full of surprises.
Okay, I'll have a word with my contact, but, listen, Chuck, this is really good stuff.
You're going back so soon?
I'm afraid my services are no longer required here.
We'll meet in London then. I'm sure to be over. We'll have many more opportunities for our feet to get together under tables. Oh, by the way, you wouldn't do me an enormous favor, would you? Something I want to send to some friends of mine who live in my favorite London hotel.
Chuck trying to auction his own picture. Oh dear. He's rather fallen from his pedestal. Just goes to show, jogging doesn't improve the morals.
Oh, I'll go.
Package for Mr. Glazier.
Oh, right. Thanks. It's a packet for you, I suppose.
Oh yes, she said she'd send that over. I got to deliver it to someone in London.
Who's she?
What?
Who's she? Cat's mother?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, it was Barbara Fleckner. We happened to meet at lunchtime.
Oh. You mean you just bumped into each other on 52nd Street and she pulled you into the Four Seasons?
No, she wanted to see me. She's been very decent about my view of the Paris Bordone. And we're still good friends.
Oh, how sweet. And she wants you to take this to London. Who to?
To a friend in some hotel.
A friend without a name. She's set you a pretty tough assignment. There's not a word written on this package.
Well, she must have forgotten. I'll phone her later.
Perhaps she won't be in.
Why not?
She might want you to be traveling with a totally anonymous package.
Why ever would you want that?
You really fancy her, don't you?
She's a remarkably attractive woman.
Quite young.
She looks young.
And apt to run her fingers over you in the course of conversation, I noticed.
Some people are extremely tactile.
And some people might want to ruin your reputation. Perhaps make it seem that you weren't such an entirely trustworthy Scot. What did she say was in here?
Well, she didn't say.
And you didn't ask?
Well, no. Maggie, you can't do that. That's a private parcel. It's powder.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Must be one of John T. Fleckner's organic beauty preparations.
You're such an innocent, Ben. If you'd been at our school parties in my day, you'd have learned to steer clear of this particular beauty preparation.
You don't honestly think...
I think you'll get into serious trouble if you start fancying other women.
And goodbye to you.
Who was on the phone?
The cat's mother, Mrs. John T. Fleckner III, said how terribly sorry was she hadn't managed to get the parcel over to me, but she'd gone to visit friends in Palm Springs for the weekend and had forgotten all about it.
And what did you say?
I said, pull the other one, it's got bells on it.
That must have made your meaning entirely clear. Do you want to see the Lord Chairman?
Not in the least.
Well, he wants to see us.
Did you have a good trip?
Hardly. I was stopped at Kennedy Airport and submitted to a search. But the most intimate physical experience I've had for some considerable time.
Well, you've endeared yourself to a most important client. An old friend of mine, as it so happens. John T. Fleckner III. And his lovely wife.
And his wife?
Oh, yes. She told the Lemberg Museum that a supposed Titian was only the work of a pupil, based on your opinion, it seems. They were so impressed with her expertise that they put her on the board. Johnny Fleckner is extremely grateful. Congratulations, Ben.
And, Chuck Whiteside. I mean, he wasn't disappointed about Ben's turning down the Titian.
I'm afraid Whiteside has something slightly more serious to think about.
Losing weight, hair implant, going in for a facelift.
Gloria Shalom rang me. He's been arrested.
He's been what?
Some drug dealer got caught. Started naming names. He identified Whiteside as a customer. And of course, it's all some ridiculous mistake.
Yes, of course.
It seems you got to see the great Emmanuel Kinsky.
Yes. Yes, we did, didn't we, Maggie? He had us up for a chat. Wonderful old boy for his age.
Did he seem to be fairly pleased with the way things are going in London?
Fairly pleased. There was one thing he was rather concerned about.
Oh. What's that? What was that?
The fact that I didn't have adequate space to park my motorbike. I told him that the problem would be addressed. Well, nice talking to you, Holloway. Now, I'm afraid we must get on. Maggie and I have got so much work to catch up on.
Poor Chuck.
Oh, yes, my heart bleeds for him. Do you honestly think he wasn't behind Barbara Fleckner's little plot? Sinners admit they're just desserts.
Only one of them. The other's got herself on the board as the Lemberg. She's had a triumph.
Well, there you are. That's more like the art world as we know it.